Hello and welcome to Talk Ag to Me, the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. I'm your host, Brennan Black, and today I'm joined by another special guest. This is Tyler Perry. Tyler, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Tyler Perry. I'm 16 years old. I grew up in Merced and Atwater. I started out in a simple ag mechanic class, and I immediately fell in love with the ag mechanic industry as well as agriculture itself. I moved 1.5 years ago to Bakersfield. The first thing I realized is, man, there is so much agricultural in Bakersfield. I mean, cattle ranchers to almond farmers, but I fell in love with it. I'm currently now the FFA chapter treasurer at Bakersfield-Frontier, and I'm actually showing a goat for the first time this year, along with some ag mechanic projects.
Sounds exciting. So, how long have you actually been involved in FFA or agriculture as an industry?
Well, I've been around agricultural, and ever since I was a kid. My grandparents live on a little ranch in Porterville, and my Babette used to be a cow worker. People used to hire her to keep up on their cattle, and I went to work with her during the summers as a kid, and my Bubs taught me at a young age how to saddle up a horse and showed me the basics, and my Babette taught me how to work with horses in a round pen with a lunge line. So that really gave me an immediate interest in the ag industry. So this would be my third year in the FFA.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So, you said that you're an FFA chapter treasurer, and that you show this is your first year showing goats. What else are you involved in FFA? Any judging teams, speaking teams, anything like that?
I'm into the LD parliamentary procedure.
Okay.
Our team placed first in the San Joaquin region this year.
Wow.
So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, going through FFA, and I think we both know this pretty well, you gain a lot of really fun and useful memories.
Absolutely.
What would you say has been your favorite memory from your years in FFA?
Man, there's a lot. I have a lot of great memories that the FFA has given me. My Parlay Pro team, again, got first in the San Joaquin region, so that really boosted my self-confidence. It's a very amazing moment. But my favorite was actually during officer retreat at a very nice but creepy lake house. I mean, I've seen the scary movies, and sure enough, me and my buddy Daniel and Isaiah are putting our bags down upstairs, and we see this hidden door. And it's funny because our first instinct was to open that door. So when we did, behind that door was, I mean, it will stay with us for the rest of our lives. It was a baby crib in a dark room with some old baby toys.
That's
our,
creepy.
our advisor began telling us scary, hopefully false, stories about the lake house. And we didn't sleep that night, but it was definitely a favorite moment of mine.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of moving on to our next question here. One of the kind of big factors about FFA is that it takes a lot of involvement. You have to stay involved in order to love it. I mean, you have a lot of kids that will just take ag classes just to take ag classes, and they won't even get involved in the FFA part of it.
Absolutely.
So one of the questions I kind of want to pick your brain for is, what has really motivated you to stay in FFA and get as involved as you are in the program?
That is an excellent question. What motivates me is getting to have so many opportunities to travel, as well as growing as an individual with leadership, and getting to meet and gain friendships from across the state. It truly is a life changer, and I encourage others to stay with this program so that they can experience these opportunities. As well, I was always trying to tell members in the agricultural education that it doesn't just make, agriculture education doesn't just make you career ready, college ready, but life ready. The FFA has taught me sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. So that's definitely is what has been motivating me to keep doing the FFA.
That's awesome. So, I think you definitely have a good point there, and it's something that we kind of touch on in some of our more FFA-based episodes here, is that FFA is more than just showing, or it's more than just about ag. It's about leadership, and it's about character
Absolutely.
development. It's about, just getting ready for the rest of your life and getting ready for what's to come in your next few years. I think that's awesome. So, what would you
Absolutely.
say? Because being in FFA, we're kind of prepared, and being in Partly Pro, I'm sure that you've been tasked with some of these questions, but we're kind of prepared to address a lot of the major issues facing agriculture today in California, in the country, in the world
Yeah.
overall.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
what would you say is probably the biggest issue facing just overall agriculture today?
That's 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 just something that is very important to ask others that don't understand agriculture, and especially us being around agriculture so much, we always know the issues. So the big one right now is the state water grab.
Hmm.
I know it really is devastating many farmers, and it is affecting families. And I've seen the SFA chapters up north actually stand out there with signs and protest this water grab.
Wow.
And I mean, it is just impacting farmers, farm workers, laborers, manufacturers, teachers, public safety professionals, and even business owners. And taking this water away from farmers, it isn't good. But the salmon that they need out of there is very important too. I've grown up wanting to become a game warden, so I care about the fish, I care about the wildlife. And FFA members, I don't think, are looking at that salmon and realizing that it's not supposed to be there.
Mm.
And as a game warden, if you see that breed not supposed to be there, you're supposed to get that out of there and fix the issue. So I'm all for getting that salmon into the correct environment that it's supposed to be. And I'm still with the farmers. Losing water is never good.
Right.
But I mean, that is an issue that I think that we're all discussing and all facing right now.
That's awesome. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but My Job Depends on Ag, which is a Facebook page, and they're pretty focused on an agricultural community. And I've had a couple of their members on this show before. They're good friends of ours. They actually organized a rally today in Sacramento, and it's to fight back against California's government taking water away from farmers. What do you think about that?
I'm kidding, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, no, which I try to stay up with as much as possible, but I've had a bit of a busy day, so I haven't gotten to see a whole lot of it. But would you that'd be something that you would support, that rally against, taking water?
I would. I think SFA members are on the farmer side. They think this shouldn't happen, but you have to look at it from the other side.
Mm.
That salmon isn't supposed to be there. They have to get that out if they want the salmon to be healthy and keep going through these environments so we can see that salmon.
Interesting.
And I think SFA members are just not looking at it that way.
Yeah, no, I think you have a good point there. There's a lot of dimensions to a lot of these issues that a lot of people don't really consider. I mean, just to kind of go off topic a little bit, when I was doing extemp, there's a huge issue with fracking, and I know a lot of farmers that are supportive of fracking. I know a lot of farmers that are against fracking. It all depends on what the reason is and where the area is, because fracking has been known to cause a lot of contamination in water, and it hurts a lot of cattle operations because of it. But at the same time, fracking creates a more efficient and cheaper source of energy than most other methods being used today. So it's just kind of one of those things that go hand in hand, and just, But so I appreciate that answer. So what would you say that you're doing, either through FFA or just independently, or how you're saying you work with family members? What would you say that you're doing to advocate or to support or to further agriculture's development?
That's a good question. Further agriculture is very important. And I know as an FFA chapter, we are going to have to look into that future. Who is going to be the next leaders of our organization? So right now, we're actually having an ice cream social next week for all freshmen, so we can introduce them to agricultural and get them going through the FFA. So in the future, they could be the leaders, and that organization can still run smoothly because it is our jobs now to prepare for the future.
I think that's a really good answer. So you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier about you wanting to be a game warden. Would you say that's your current career aspiration? That's where you want to go in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
So being a game warden, you talked a little bit about salmon and that sort of thing. What besides just the fish, in what ways does agriculture really impact that sort of occupation?
Well, right now in agricultural, I am learning vet science.
Mm.
Vet science, you learn about livestock. You learn about every animal, how to operate with them, how to keep them healthy. That is what agricultural is serving to me right now. This will help me for my future to become a game warden because you need to be taking that class or have taken it already to become a game warden. Because as a game warden, you are there for the wildlife, for the animals, for the fish, and for the people that are trying to abuse the laws up in the mountains while they're hunting. And, agriculture revolves around all of that. It gives me these opportunities to look ahead and to actually be there.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good fair point there. Let's see. So you're pretty involved at FFA, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And then you have obviously an agriculturally based background, and you have a more what I would say conservatively based lifestyle in terms of your career aspirations and your interests and ideas.
Yes.
What would you say is probably the most valuable thing you've learned from all of this, from your years in FFA, from your years in agriculture, from your more like you're saying with the game warden stuff and your interest in that sort of field? What would you say is the most important thing you've learned from all this?
Well, I actually learned a lot that as a freshman I never thought I would learn. I thought the FFA was all about showmanship and cows. But, once I get started, I actually thought, man, this could help me for my career. And so I used to be a Kern County Sheriff Explorer, and I was talking to one of the deputies, and I told him that I'm in the FFA, and I did parliamentary procedure. And he said that is remarkable that organization teaches you that at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's taken college classes and still struggles to this day understanding parliamentary procedure.
Huh.
And he says, in the future, if you're in a court case, you use Parley Pro.
Right.
So he says, I'm going down the perfect lifestyle right now, participating in it, because in the future, I may need it.
I think that's absolutely right. There's a lot of, besides just Parley Pro, which that's obviously extremely useful too, but there's a lot of things that we learn in FFA that you'd be surprised that nobody else knows, and we think of it as, just one of those things.
Absolutely.
Just another little side story today. I was in class, and I'm in college, and I'm with a bunch of other adults, and my professor said something about how he would be willing to bet that 90% of us don't know how to shake hands. And he came over and he shook my hand, and he said I was one of the only ones in class that knew how to shake hands properly.
No.
And I told him, I said, I learned that, right? And he's like, I'm guessing he's wearing that blue jacket. I said, that's right. That's where we learn a lot of our good skills.
Absolutely.
And we talked about job interviewing. We talked about public speaking. We talked about, how to remain in a professional status, and even when you're doing unprofessional things and all those things. I gave him examples from FFA, and it's one of those things that you can't compare it anywhere else.
That's great. That's really great.
I just wanted to throw that little story in there.
This proves to you that even the smallest little things of tying a tie or shaking someone's hand could make a difference in you being professional or not. I think it's great that the FFA teaches you that at such a young age.
I absolutely agree. So I've got one more question for you. You can kind of wrap up the interview here, but it's a question that I talked about it a little bit, which I know you said that you listened to the interview with Hunter Seymour, and I talked about it with him. I want to start asking every single person I have on this show about it. And did you happen to do Creed as a freshman?
Yes.
Okay, so the whole reason that this question got brought up was because of the creed, and one of the most important questions they ask you in the creed. I think it's one of the most important questions that they should ask you just in general if you're an FFA.
Yeah.
And that is, what does the blue jacket mean to you?
The blue jacket truly means everything to me. It really shows me how you can be on a team from different chapters and go against each other in competitions and still walk away with a smile, whether you lost, whether you won. You're just always happy because truly the National FFA organization from every state, you guys are on a team. You guys are wearing that blue corduroy jacket representing the biggest youth organization in the industry. And it's really taught me professionalism. It's taught me how to be respectful in and out jacket. You know, it doesn't take me as simple as a blue jacket for me to be a good person and serve greatness into the lives of others. Representing that blue jacket is the world to me, and I would never, ever disrespect that blue jacket.
So I got one last little story for you, and I kind of want to see how you would react to this situation. So, have you gone to the National FFA convention before?
I have not.
If you get the chance to go, you really need to. It's amazing. But
I'm planning on it.
I've gone 3 times, and the first time I ever went, we were walking through the airport, getting ready to board the plane, and we have to travel in full uniform because that's California FFA law.
Yeah.
So I'm dressed in, my blue jacket, my black slacks, and my black shoes, and just all dressed up for business. And it's probably 5 in the morning, and we're getting ready to board the plane. And I had a couple old people stop me, and I was with 2 other FFA kids, and they stopped us and said, "Hey, what's with the jackets? What do they mean?" And it was one of those moments where we had the rare opportunity to tell them what you just told me about what the jacket means to us and what it symbolizes, and how it symbolizes the future, and how it symbolizes hard work and dedication and all of these great things and unity. And
yep.
So it's a really, really cool experience when you get to teach someone that doesn't know about the jacket what that jacket truly stands for, because they just see it as another piece of clothing you have to wear for the uniform.
Absolutely. That's an amazing story. Because we see those people around that are just asking, what is the FFA? What is agriculture? Why do we need it? And it sounds funny to us because we actually understand it.
Right. Which it's just one of those things. We were raised with this knowledge of this great organization and what it does, and there are some people who've never heard of FFA, and that's just such a foreign concept to us.
Yeah, yep.
So I think it's a really cool thing. So if you ever get the chance to talk to somebody outside of the FFA about your jacket, do not hesitate to tell them what you just told me.
Absolutely. I'm always waiting for that moment. Always.
Oh, it'll come. Trust me. And especially the more active you get.
Definitely.
So I think that's just about it for this interview. I'd just like to, you have any more comments, anything else you want to add, any more stories you want to tell?
Well, as an officer that has through premier leadership throughout my years, I just want to say to all the listeners out there, if you are ever thinking about giving up or stopping FFA, do not do it. FFA is here to help you for your careers and your development. You will not go in any negative route if you stick with the FFA. Always think positive, accomplish your goals, and just have a great time in this organization. And thank you for listening. Thanks for the opportunity to be on Talk Agony, and thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank you a lot for being on this episode, and I definitely hope that you come back for another one, maybe for an issue or something like that. So just once again, thank you, and thank you again to all of our listeners and everyone that tuned in today. So I think that'll be just about it. Make sure you go give Mr. Tyler Perry over here a big shout out for us on all of his social media pages. I'll link them down in the description for him. I think that's about it. I'd just like to wrap up by just reminding all of our audience where to find us on our social media pages. That'll also be down in the description, and we're going to be having that live stream coming out within the next couple weeks. We'll have that date for you guys whenever we have it ourselves. So I'd just like to thank all of you guys. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thanks, Brendan. Absolutely, opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, if you ate today, thank a farmer.